Let's start here. So I'm going to come in close. I'm actually kind of curious. So let me see first. Oh, yeah. Damn, that's good. Damn, that's good. Let's roll that back a few hours. Bust it. We're rolling. Sorry, let me just get my little cooking juice out of the way. Hey everybody, welcome to the first inaugural video of my YouTube cooking channel. Today I am doing a full pack of brisket, 20 pounds of delicious beef. We're gonna keep this simple today. I'm going just traditional kind of backyard barbecue style. I'm gonna be very light with the trimming of the fat cap that's on here. I'm not gonna inject it. I'm gonna do a wrap later, butcher's paper, just to kind of speed the process up, because I don't have all day. Normally I'd cook it like 220, 225, 250, but today we're just gonna go straight to the 275. It's probably gonna take like 16 hours. Let's get this out of the cryovac, let's get our trimming knife, and let's get going. There's two parts to a brisket. There is the point, which is the fattiest and juiciest part of the brisket, and then there is the flat. And it's all connected by these big, huge veins of fat. We're going to get rid of like some of this stuff right here that just looks unsightly. We're gonna trim a little bit of this fat off of here and on top, and if I turn it around, we're going to get kind of in here because a lot of this is just fat that just is not going to cook and render down, and it's just going to be a big glob of mess. Let's flip this guy over. We're going to take this fat down to like a 1/4 inch thick, but I'm really just going to try to leave a lot of this on. We don't want to cut too much off because when we put it on our grill, even though it's set up for indirect cooking, we want this fat layer here to kind of protect the meat. So when it's cooking, that fat is the barrier between the heat source and this meat here, because we don't want to dry it out. On this side of the brisket, we're just kind of getting some of this top fat off. All right, so we got that there. Let me turn this around, because this piece of fat right here, I definitely don't want. And then also, like, you see some of this brown right here, I'm gonna kind of take some of that off because it just doesn't look sexy. So I'm just gonna come down here. And remember, this is a big piece of beef, so do not be afraid to trim off large pieces like that. All this is not going to render, so I'm just coming. So it's important when you're cooking, or when you're done cooking it and you gotta carve it, to cut against the grain. So I'm looking at where the grain is going right now. I'll find the corner. So the grain is running this way, and if you come in, you can see it's all running this way on the flat. And so what I'm just gonna do is just take my knife here, cut that corner, so that way when it's done and it's all cooked up, it's got this delicious, amazing bark on it, and I can't see any of this texture, I'll know to look for this corner right here, and then I can just do all my slices. Some of the things that I did, again, I took out this huge just chunk of fat that's right here, and I may hit this one more time. I cleaned up these edges here on the point. There was a lot of browning there. I kind of went down here and cleaned up a little bit of this edge, and I'll probably do it one more time after I flip this over. And then I did the same on this side. I just kind of went straight down with my knife, and then I still have to kind of go in here and get a lot of this fat. This is some hard fat that is not going to cook, so we just definitely want to get that down. Flipping this over, look at all that. More trimming. More fat to go. I've left my flat, I've left the fat cap definitely on here because the flat has a tendency to dry out more than the point does. So I want this fat to be here in order to protect it from the heat source. The last thing I'm gonna do is just hit this little vein right here. You don't have to go crazy with it, but all I'm doing is I'm coming in at one angle, then I'm going in with another, and I'm just slowly working it out. Like I said, when you get your brisket, you can feel it and you're like, yeah, I can't eat that. You'll know right away what you should be cutting off and what you shouldn't. And you know, like I said, we're gonna keep it light and easy because this is maybe some of you guys' first brisket. And don't want to overwhelm you with stuff. After you get a few brisket cooks in, then you can start really going crazy. If you want to go competition style, you can. But you have to ask yourself, like, I'm doing all this, and then people are just going to eat it, and no one's going to comment on the presentation or how well it was trimmed or anything. They're just going to eat it, which is what you're supposed to do with barbecue. So I say that this is ready to be seasoned. So our first layer is our beef rub from Our Butts Are Smoking. And this is a big piece of meat. It can take a lot of seasoning. So we're just gonna kind of come at it like this. Don't forget these sides, don't forget inside. And don't worry, we're gonna really coat this thing. We've got a good first layer down. And I'm not actually rubbing it in, I'm just kind of patting it just to make sure it's gonna adhere, and I'll probably put a little bit more. Coming back again on this top layer. I'm probably gonna go a little bit heavier on this side. I know there's a whole big debate about, you know, fat up, fat down. Like, the theory is if you cook it with the fat up, that the fat will cook down and render over it and, you know, keep it nice and moisturized and stuff. And then the other argument is, you know, the fat will protect it from the heat source. And I'm cooking on a Traeger, so it's already set up for an indirect cook style. So in theory, I could cook this fat side up, but I'm not. Why? Just because I'm not. That's barbecue. You do it because you want to. Yes, going crazy with this because this is almost out. All right, so going to again pat that in. I've got it everywhere. And now I'm gonna let this sit while I get ready to get my Traeger fired up. We're gonna fire it up to 275, but we're gonna get ready for the fun part, which is just throwing it on the grill and not doing nothing for the next like 6 hours. All right, we got a Traeger here. I've taken the top 2 shelves out just for ease of access, but you can use any grill. You can use a regular charcoal Weber, like this grill right here, which is currently under wraps. This is a Kamado Joe's, a ceramic grill. So that one's charcoal and just throw like a chunk of wood. It's really just about controlling your temperature. That's one of the things I like about the Traeger is I can set it to 275 and walk away and not really worry about it. But sometimes the fun of barbecue is like fighting the fire, which is like when I'll fire that guy up. But again, today I'm trying to keep it easy. It's Saturday, I'm off work. I don't want to do more work. So we're gonna get some pellets in here. This is just a signature blend. It's hickory, maple, and cherry. We're gonna get it rolling up the temperature while our brisket sits downstairs and is getting those seasonings soaking into it. And then throw it on and walk away. It's just that simple. We're setting this to 275. You may or may not be able to see this. I'm gonna dial that in. I'm gonna hit ignite. It's gonna do its thing. We're gonna put our brisket on, and then just gonna get it nice and centered. So we got the brisket in here. It's gonna go for about 4 or 5 hours before we do anything else to it. All I know is it's gonna be dark by the time this thing is done. But we got it on here. We're not gonna do nothing else. We're just gonna leave it alone, because if you're looking, you're not cooking. We'll be back in 5 hours. We are entering phase 2. Our brisket is beautiful. It smells amazing. I just probed it with my Thermopin just to check what temperature it was at. It was around 150, so this is the perfect time to take it off. The color is good. Now that I think about it, I was like, damn, this shit's hot. I don't have the proper gloves for it, but it should be good. So we're going to get it off of here, and we're going to get ready to do the wrap. So let's get this without completely dropping it. We've got the brisket off the grill. I probed it, I checked it. It was at 150, which is the perfect time to take it off. I like the color, I like the way it's setting. So now we're just gonna put it into some butcher paper. I've got 4 sheets because this brisket is huge. So I'm gonna have that there. I'm gonna just tuck it underneath. I'm gonna bring this over. And then I'm going to flip it like so. Boom. And then it goes back on the grill, still at 275. So I'm gonna put this probe in here. I'm gonna set it for 200 degrees. That's when I wanna check it one more time. I wanna make sure that my probe is going in and out like butter. So we're gonna go a little bit more for a feel, but when we get around 200, that's where I wanna start checking it. So it could get up to 206 and it's nice and tender, or it could be tender at 195. Like every brisket is different. It's like a unicorn almost. So let me go ahead and get this probe in, and I'm just gonna kind of feel around. I know the thickest part is here because it's the center of the brisket. So I'm just gonna go there, at an angle. That should be good. And then yeah, let's get it upstairs and we should be good to go. This is all good to close up, like so. One last thing I am going to do before I go back down, because this is going to take a couple of hours. Just going to check my fuel and make sure that I'm good on pellets. I got plenty of pellets to go, and if I need more, I can put more in. But we are good to go here. Always make sure you have plenty of fuel for your brisket cooks, because it's going to pretty much use all of it. Hey, all right, so we have taken our brisket off the grill. We had it on there for about 16 hours, and this is the best part. We get to open it up, and it smells amazing right now. 16 hours later, and also probably like 16 shots later. When you take your brisket off, the best thing you can do is let it rest for at least 4 hours. And I know that sucks, because you're just like, I've been cooking this thing all day. The reason why is because when it's cooking, all the juices kind of condense into the middle of the brisket, and because it's such a big piece of meat. And so then when you take it off the grill and you let it rest, all those juices slowly distribute out. So if you cut into it prematurely, it's just gonna have no juice. It's gonna be dry, it's gonna be trash, and we don't want that. And I'm gonna cut these slow, and oh my God, this shit smells so good. It's still burning my fingers. Hey, listen, it's too hot for me to handle, but come in close. I want you to come in close. Hey, listen, did you come here for this? Did you come here for that? Oh, fuck, it's burning my fingers. I'm gonna try this real quick. Oh, yeah. Damn, that's good. Damn, that's good. All right, we can cut, we're done.